All right, hello everybody. Gary Massa here with Massa and Associates, and I'm here with one of my favorite people in Cabo, Nick Fong, my broker and one of the one of the bigger brokerages out in Los Cabos area. And again, Nick, thank you for everything that you've done for me as well and helping me in my transition to Cabo. But again, today we're talking about leaving California. There's a lot of it's been something that's been happening for quite a few years. A lot of people have been more so for retirement. And now I think a lot of people are just like, it's not even retirement. They're relocating and they're still keeping their jobs. And now with the pandemic and coming out of Cabo, obviously people can now work remotely and a lot of people are shifting around. And I wanted to interview people that, really have a grasp on the people that are relocating and leaving California and start to understand what their mindsets are and what you're experiencing. So Nick, thanks again for joining me.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. And really, we were just talking in a team meeting a few weeks ago and just beforehand, but you had started saying that more recently, you guys are seeing more Americans, so to speak, maybe not just Californians, or maybe so, but people coming down to Cabo and buying a primary residence and actually moving as being an expat as opposed to starting with a second home. Tell me about your experience and any of the numbers that you guys are seeing in terms of trends.
Yeah. So, when I moved here a decade and a half ago, originally from Chicago, I was more the exception, meaning an expat living permanently in the Los Cabos area. But definitely the trend that we've been seeing in the last year, and especially since COVID, is people purchasing for that permanent relocation. I would say, roughly speaking, only about 10% of our buyers historically have been purchasing to permanently relocate. Yeah. And now it's safe to say that at least double that number, like 20% or more, are purchasing their property to be the permanent relocation. And so that's not to say that they sell everything. Many of them are buying a small condo, whether that be in California or in Nevada, in Texas, or in the state of Illinois, where I'm from. But right. they're upsizing from a condo that they would be purchasing for 2 to 3 months usage in Cabo to a single family home.
Right.
And so we've seen a lot more tours, a lot more sales, a lot more interest in the areas that we didn't see before. So people weren't interested in so much space. Now they're interested in having more space. People weren't interested going outside of Cabo San Lucas. Cabo San Lucas is privileged that we're at the bottom of a 1,000-mile peninsula.
Yeah.
And so Cabo San Lucas is at the bottom and at the heart of it. But up the Pacific, up the Sea of Cortez, you have all this undeveloped beachfront land. In fact, the state of Baja California Sur has the most oceanfront in all of the country.
Yeah.
And so it's incredible, the prime real estate that we have. And so the movement is going up the coastline also. And we're fortunate that at least in our brokerage that we have offices in all those locations. I'm actually in one of them right now.
Yeah.
On the Sea of Cortez.
Yeah, you're in Los Barrios right now in the East Cape, right?
That's correct.
Awesome.
That's correct.
Well, I mean, and again, this is a path that I'm taking as well, and just seeing the opportunity that, like you said, you can shift the wealth, right? And still, like, for instance, here in San Diego, you can keep a condo, like, let's say the kids grow up, they're like now in college, you can keep a condo here that you can scale down from what let's just say an average price is $1 million here in North County, San Diego, right? And scale down to like maybe a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 condo, and then buy a huge family home, probably 2 to 3 times as much as what you could here, still have the beach lifestyle, be right on whatever the case. and and just have a lot lower cost of living. So I think that that's part of the draw. But Nick, why else are you learning that people are like about the mindsets of people moving down there? What are some of the reasons that they are leaving the United States, leaving California, or state specifically? What are some of those reasons?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. One, even as privileged as you are in San Diego with the weather, Cabo has better weather.
Yeah.
So the temperature of the water is a lot warmer, you know, in the 80s. It might get down to the upper 70s, but I know in San Diego, that's like a great day at the beach if the water's in the upper 70s, right?
That's peak of summertime.
And so we can get up into the upper 80s in water temperature, especially during the summer months.
Yeah.
That's number one. So weather is fantastic. Cost of living is, especially when you are looking at areas in California, is a lot more affordable. Housing is a lot more affordable. And it's still in the Cabo area, in the Baja, as much growth as has happened in the last decade, you still feel that time slows down when you come down here. I witnessed it nearly 20 years ago when I first visited the area, and I hear it time and time again from our clients that all the stress, all the craziness, especially now with everything with COVID, when they come here, it's a safer place, it's less busy, it's less stressful. You combine that with more affordability and really nice people. The culture is amazing, very warm culture. Those are the main reasons why we have so much more interest in our area.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, you mentioned about cost of living and like, let's just say California or states like Texas, where, you know, property taxes are I think Texas is over 2%, maybe quite a bit over 2%. But there's other states, you know, in the United States that have that high property tax rate. Remind me again what the property tax rate is in Cabo San Lucas area.
Okay, it's a whopping 0.1% of the property value per annum.
That is amazing. Now, again, not to, you know, just to be completely fair, there are higher taxes and other things, right? Like EVA, et cetera, that we might not be used to here. But at the same time, that your long-term, your long-term overhead is going to be much, much less once you're living and owning in Cabo, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not everything is better here, but for example, we do have a 16% sales tax. And so even the highest areas are maybe 10%, 11%. What is it in the state of California?
It's like 8.75, or maybe it's around 9%. Sorry, I might be botching that just a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, and so we're at 16%, and that's one way that the local government is able to subsidize all the public services.
Right.
And so, yeah, but labor is very inexpensive.
Yeah.
I haven't done my laundry since I've been here.
That's right. That's right. Focusing on the things that you want to be doing in life, rather, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing, Nick, too, what about like healthcare systems there as well? I know that that's a big question. Is that something that you can speak about in terms of your clients that are moving there more full-time? I know some people do keep their healthcare here in the States and they travel back and forth. Some people move down there for the healthcare, right? And the affordability of that. Is that anything that you can speak about?
Yeah, absolutely. Medical tourism is huge, and it's just growing more. And so things like dental services, things for plastic surgery, even some major medical procedures. We have clients coming to Cabo or in other parts of Mexico. That has been historically a challenge for the Cabo area. Even though we're a peninsula, it feels a lot like an island. And so things like cost of goods sold, medical services. Those are the things that you have the biggest challenges with. But fortunately, with the interest and the growth of the area, big hospitals from Mexico City have established local hospitals like the H Plus Hospital in San Jose del Cabo, for example. State-of-the-art facilities, doctors that are coming from mainland Mexico, many of which are bilingual and did their residency in the United States.
Right. And I experienced that as well in Cabo with the hospital. It was like one of the nicest hospitals that I think that I've ever been to, even here in San Diego. My daughter had got sick, we went there and it was like, I don't know, I keep hearing really good things about the private hospital systems and this one in particular. So had a good experience there as well. Okay, one last question, Nick. What do you think are some of the misconceptions that keep people from choosing Cabo or choosing Mexico when they're thinking of relocating out of the United States for, maybe higher, cost of living, political, whatever reasons? What do you think that the biggest misconception that keeps people from considering Mexico as their permanent home?
Yeah, so like just to start off, we still have clients considering our area that think that they need to speak Spanish, for example, to get by. And we're in an area that couldn't be further from the truth. Our area has been built on tourism, and the tourists that we cater to the most are English speaking Americans and Canadians. And so to really thrive as a business in the service industry, you have to speak English or enough to communicate to your customers. Right. And so that all benefits the expat looking to relocate here, semi-permanent or permanently. So that's one misconception. Another misconception that we touched on, which is that the medical care, we don't have good medical care. And for reasons I stated just minutes ago, we have very good medical care and very inexpensive by that matter also. Right. That's another misconception along with it. And recently, another misconception, at least from a home purchase standpoint, is that people have thought you need to pay cash, and that's not the truth. We have a lending partner, Global Mortgage, that's a very well-funded lender that is lending to Americans using U.S. underwriting guidelines and lending with as little as 40% down. They will finance the remaining purchase price for 10, 15, up to 25 years.
Right. Yeah. And I just took a loan with Global Mortgage for my property there as well. And it was a, relatively seamless experience and very, very close to what I'm used to in the States as well, which is what they're trying to create.
So those are just, three misconceptions, whether it's, not being able to get financing, the purchase, the medical care. But, there are other misconceptions, but I don't know if you have that much time.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, those top three are actually really, really good because, again, those are the bigger ones that I hear about as well, And so, okay, so the last question, sorry, I did say last question, but one more that I did want to ask right before we wrap up is, we're talking about the growth of Cabo, and earlier you were talking about the kind of percentage of people that come down there for tourism and fall in love and then decide that, that Cabo is the place that they really want to go. And, we both heard the tourism director, and you're interviewing him tomorrow, state that the last 2 months in November and December, even in COVID, they had about 100,000 travelers into the, Los Cabos region, which is about kind of their cap right now, with hotels being at like 40, 50% occupancy and such. But I mean, you've been there for 10 years and you've seen the growth, and with like, that amount of travelers coming in and out of the area for, for vacations, how do you see the growth of people deciding to make this their home over the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, if you have any, insight on that?
Well, I absolutely do have insight because I'm seeing it every day. The number of people that are coming to our website, the number of people that my agents are touring every day, every week, the number of properties we're selling is all on the upward trend. And that started a couple of years ago, and it has only further accelerated during COVID. It's interesting because I think many people, maybe that's another misconception, Gary, is that they would think there would be less people buying in the area during COVID, but actually it's the opposite. More people are not wanting to wait 2 to 3 years to realize their Cabo or their Mexico dream, and they want to do it now. And working with like Global Mortgage, that's perfect because they don't have to pay cash anymore. And so I think that the trend is going to be, it's all right, increased tourism, increased real estate demand for inventory. And we're working with a number of developers that are planning or already coming out of off the ground with new construction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I kind of knew the answer to that, but I wanted, to hear it straight from you, because I think also one other, I don't mean to say because everybody else is doing it, right? But I think people need to understand that there's a movement going down to Los Cabos and into different areas of Mexico from the United States that a lot of people don't see. They don't see it being reported on the news until they actually see something like this and go, wow, actually other Americans or other people just like me and just in the areas are making this dream a reality, and it's way less complicated than they think.
Yeah, and Gary, another thing is, if you think about it, right now, Americans can only travel internationally to one country.
Yeah.
It's to Mexico.
That's right.
And so, and literally you could, in theory, drive here. Most people don't, but you could drive here. But there are nonstop flights every single day, whether it's Dallas, it's San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix. There are nonstop flights every single day coming from the States. And so it's the reason why, at least here in the Baja, it's the fastest growing.
I lost you for a second. You said it's the fastest growing what?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, internet went out. The fastest growing area of all of Mexico.
Yeah. No, I mean, quite honestly, those are really good figures, Nick, and something that people should really consider, because again, if they are waiting for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it may be good to kind of make your investment now and put your foothold in. You know what I mean? Use it as an investment and slowly move into it. So when you are ready to retire and or move, or you have your ducks in a row, you've already kind of started the process, because I do see the values of property continue to go up pretty quickly. You know what I mean? So anyhow, okay, Nick, I know you have a ton of stuff going on today. So thank you so much for spending this amount of time with me and everybody watching this. We definitely want to hear from you again and a lot more often, but I do look forward to your interview tomorrow with the tourism board in regards to, the COVID traveling. So really appreciate that. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Gary, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much.